All right, for this video, I am going to go over the graphic designer homage project. I'm going to run through a design as if I were a student so you guys can see how I would approach this project and how I would analyze and deconstruct a designer's work. So first thing, I'm going to look at the dimensions that are required. So 1024 by 768. So I've got my pixeler editor open. I'm going to create new image. And I'm going to come to the presets here and find that 1024 by 768 and click OK. So the designer that I'm going to do is the very first one, this Alt-Eicher. I am going to find an image. So I'm going to actually probably just deconstruct this image. And you guys can do that. You can deconstruct the images that are provided right on the slides here. You don't have to go searching. But what I would do is search for this particular image online, download it, and bring it into Pixlr. And here's why. So I've already done that. I'm going to open an image. I'm going to get the original image, and here's why. I want to be able to get the colors off of this image exact. So first thing I want to do is I want to set up my background. I'm going to probably use this orange. I like the orange, so I'm going to go to my color palette here. I've got the eyedropper. I'm going to select that orange, click OK. I'm going to come back to my work, use the paint bucket, and paint that background orange. Next, so it looks like these images, these basketball players, it almost looks like the same style that we did some of the street art where we're posterizing or using a threshold effect, except this is a little more colorful. So I am going to, along those lines of thinking, and when you're deconstructing stuff, there's no right or wrong way necessarily to approach it. You have to experiment. This is, again, sort of being like a mad scientist. You have to look at this and try to reverse engineer how the designer actually did this. So I'm thinking he did a threshold effect. So I'm going to come back here, make sure I'm reading my directions again. So here's the important part. We want to make this piece that you're creating, or these two pieces, something about what's going on with the COVID-19. So I'm going to choose like an homage to a healthcare worker. So I already went and found an image of a doctor, and I'm going to open up that image here. And this will be my main element. So we've got this here. I'm going to grab my lasso tool because all I want is the actual doctor. And again, I know that we're all working on laptops and working on, unfamiliar devices. So I'm not going to be super critical with how clean your selections are. Just do your best. Obviously, within reason, I want your selections to be clean. But I'm going to come around here. I'm not going to spend too much time trying to refine this. Pixlr does a pretty good job of trying to find those edges. Come down in here, and then I'm going to close off this selection. Perfect. Edit, copy. Just make sure you see that copy there. I can close this image out. I don't want to save it. Edit, paste. So I am going to just zoom out a little bit so I can see my whole image here. I'm going to move her off to the side here. I'm going to make her a little bigger. So I'm going to come to Edit, Free Transform. I'm going to grab one of these handles here and just make her bigger. I think that's good right there. I can always do something later to adjust that size if I don't like it. So I'm going to go to threshold. I'm going to go to posterize first because you can see it gives you this little effect here. I'm not going to make an adjustment. I'm just going to accept the default. I'm going to go back here and do threshold. There's not a lot of detail that I'm seeing, so I'm going to adjust that. I want to see parts of her face and her shirt and the stethoscope. So that looks good. So I've got the effect. So I'm going to go back to my designer so I can kind of see what this person's doing. All right, so he's got a blue. He's got these light blues, these oranges, and some whites in there. So I'm going to make a couple copies of this layer because I think I'm going to want different colors. And let's go ahead and turn off. I'm clicking the check marks here. I'm going to come to my first layer. I'm going to go to Adjustment and Hue and Saturation. So I'm going to click Colorize because I want it to be a color. You can see it automatically colors it. And let's pick this like pale blue. Just adjust your hue. You know, again, that's going to be up to you. I'm not going to be too critical on the exact coloring and pick OK. Now I am going to cut to my second layer. So I think I want to keep the jacket blue. And I want the inside shirt maybe white. So let's do that. So I'm going to bring up this image, this middle one, and I'm going to erase everything around the shirt. So I'm just going to go ahead and erase, because when I erase, we're going to see what's on the bottom, what's on the layer underneath, which is the copy of this doctor, but in blue. So I'm just erasing so we can see that blue part, but I'm not going to erase the shirt in the middle. I'm just going to keep that. And again, I'm going really quickly. Obviously, I want you to be a little more careful than maybe I'm being at this point here. But again, I just want to give you an overall idea of how I would get some of these effects or how I would approach this. So perfect. I've got my blue. The other piece he has in this one is orange, so the skin is orange. So I'm going to come back up to this here, and I'm going to have to, looks like, erase this again. Or what we could do might be smarter. Let's go ahead and delete that one, and let's duplicate the one that's already deleted. And see, you can see I'm figuring this out as I'm doing it as well. So that way I don't have to erase it. And now I want her skin to be orange here. So how can I do that? Let's see. I want to come to Adjustments, Hue, Saturation, Colorize. Let's come this way. So there's the orange color. That looks fairly good. We'll click OK there. Maybe bring the opacity down a little bit so it's a little different from the background. And then I want to come back and I want to erase, again, this middle part. I want that part to be white. I want this part to see through. All right, and then maybe we pick some other colors here that we can erase. Maybe on the original. No, I don't like that. All right, so let's look. I've got my white here. I've got some blue here. Let's mess with the modes. I'm looking at my layer modes here. Can we do something to make it look a little different? Multiply, no. Overlay, no. Screen, no. So let's go ahead. Let's just leave this normal for now. So we've got our color. Now we need our text. So let's kind of analyze that text. It's very thin text. It's kind of off to the side. It's not overly distracting or doesn't overwhelm the design. So let's go ahead and let's pick our color from the blue that we already have. Click OK. Let's add some text. I'm going to put it up here. And let's just type in healthcare hero. That size, I like that size. The font is pretty on point. I don't want anything too thick, so I think I'm going to keep that font because it matches up fairly well. And we'll put this here. So healthcare hero. I'm wondering if we should make this a little darker. So let's go back to the font because the font there seems a little darker. So come to the color and maybe just bring it over a little. Click OK. There we go. So it's a little darker. He's got these lines here. He's definitely that's an element that he's using of design, the lines. So let's do that as well. I'm going to grab my rectangle marquee, make a line here, make a new layer. I'm going to change this to white. I don't think the paint bucket in Pixlr will fill this, no. So grab your paint brush and you can just paint in the line. And then edit, copy, edit, paste, and put this other line. Again, there's these, it's a bit of a struggle, I know, class from moving from Photoshop, but we got to make do. Healthcare hero, maybe we'll move healthcare over a little bit here, and then we'll move these lines over a little bit. And I'm just continually going back to my original design here. So let's click back over. He's got a date, and then he's got like a little logo in the middle. So let's do the same thing. I'm going to come back to my text here and put 2020 because that's the date. Let's go ahead and change that color back to this dark kind of blue here. I think it's this here. There we go. Click OK. So we have the color that we want now. So I think the last thing we need at this point is a little logo maybe here. So I'm going to edit. I picked out a heart or file, open new image, open image. I'm going to find the heart here. See if this opens, get my magic wand, select that heart, edit, copy, make sure it says copy. You can go ahead and close this, edit, paste. So let's transform this. Definitely want this much, much smaller. Bring this up. Much, much smaller. That looks like it might be good enough. We'll bring it up here. And then we are going to adjust that. Let's make it threshold. Click OK. Maybe do one last transform, make it just a little smaller so it's not touching. There we go. So just kind of looking at these side by side. We'll bring this one over here. So we could probably do a little bit more work, make the hair a little bit more blue. So let's see if we can do that one last piece, maybe make the hair blue. are we able to do that? Do the eraser tool here. And then the eraser tool here. So I'm just erasing some of the layers above. And if you go a little too far, again, edit, undo, like I did. I don't want to see any of that white there. But I do want to see some blue in it. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. So I think that's good. Again, if you did something similar to this would definitely be 100% acceptable. Just make sure you make your small little adjustments. Like the heart here looks like it's kind of not exactly centered. But definitely, I would know exactly what graphic designer you were paying an homage to if I saw this piece turned into me. I wouldn't even have to think about it. I would know exactly who this was, and that's what we're going for. Try to make no doubt about who you are paying an homage to. I should be able to look at it, and even if I don't know the name off the top of my head, I'm going to recognize the style. So if you have any other questions, definitely make sure that you comment on this assignment. And I will be going over this on a live stream as well. So make sure that if you can attend that, you're there so you can ask me questions and I can respond to them in real time.